It produced virtually no recoil, weighed less than a standard issue combat boot, and fired a projectile that actually accelerated the further it traveled from the barrel. It was a handgun that didn't shoot bullets. Instead, it launched miniature solid-fuel rockets. Conceived at the absolute height of the Cold War space race, it was heralded as the inevitable future of personal defense. A weapon seemingly ripped straight from the pages of a science fiction pulp magazine. Yet it possessed a ballistic quirk that defied all common sense. At point-blank range, the rocket moved so sluggishly that a brave tester could literally press their palm against the muzzle and catch the fire projectile without a scratch. How did a technological marvel that successfully miniaturized the science of the Apollo missions become one of the most infamous laughingstocks in firearms history? The concept for this bizarre weapon was born directly from the scientific obsession of the 1960s space race. While the global superpowers were busy launching massive rockets into the orbit to dominate the geopolitical chessboard, two men decided to shrink that exact aerospace technology down to fit inside a holster. In 1960, Robert Maynard, an aerospace executive, teamed up with Arthur Beale, a brilliant nuclear physicist. Together, they formed a company in San Ramon, California, called MB Associates. Their ambition was nothing less than a complete reinvention of small arms. For 500 years, firearms had operated on the exact same thermodynamic principle, confining a violent chemical explosion inside a heavy, high-strength steel chamber, and using the rapidly expanding gases to push a projectile down a barrel. This contained pressure requires guns to be made of heavy steel, and it subjects the shooter to harsh concussive recoil. Maynard and Beale sought to eliminate the chamber entirely. If the projectile propelled itself like a rocket, the gun wouldn't need to contain any explosive pressure at all. It would merely need to point the rocket in the right direction. They developed a concept called the microjet. Instead of a brass casing filled with gunpowder, they engineered a 13mm solid brass projectile filled with a proprietary solid rocket propellant. It was a self-contained ballistic missile, shrunk down to the size of a man's thumb. By 1965, MB Associates had successfully built the launch platform for this radical new ammunition. They named it the Gyrojet, and on paper, it looked like the revolution that would render traditional firearms obsolete overnight. The engineering behind the Gyrojet requires completely abandoning everything you know about how a gun works. Because the weapon did not need to contain high-pressure gas, the entire frame and barrel were constructed from an incredibly light aluminum alloy. The resulting pistol weighed an astonishingly light 22 ounces empty. The barrel wasn't a precision rifled steel tube, it was simply a smooth-bore launch rail, heavily vented with holes to allow rocket exhaust to escape so the shooter's hand wouldn't be burned. But the true genius and complexity lay in the ammunition. The 13x50mm rocket contained a standard pistol primer at its base, which ignited a central tube of solid propellant. Because the barrel was a smooth bore, the rocket had to stabilize itself in flight. The designers achieved this by drilling 4 microscopic exhaust ports in the base of the rocket, each angled precisely at 20 degrees. When the rocket ignited, the angled thrust forced the projectile to spin at thousands of revolutions per minute, providing gyroscopic stability just like a spiraling football. The firing mechanism is arguably the most counterintuitive action ever put into a production firearm. In a normal pistol, a hammer strikes the back of the bullet. In the Gyrojet, the hammer is located in front of the rocket. When the trigger is pulled, a heavy hammer swings backward, striking the pointed nose of the rocket and shoving the entire projectile rearward into a fixed firing pin at the back of the gun. The primer ignites, the rocket motors spark to life, and as the missile launches forward, it physically pushes the hammer back down into the cocked position as it exits the barrel. The physical experience of shooting it was surreal. There was no concussive bang, just a loud hissing whoosh. And because the rocket was pushing against its own exhaust gases rather than against the breech of the gun, Newton's third law didn't apply to the shooter's hand. There was absolutely zero recoil. You were simply holding the tube while a rocket left the station. The Gyrojet's ascent was driven almost entirely by aggressive marketing and its undeniable aesthetic appeal. It looked sounded, and functioned like the future. MB Associates aggressively pitched the weapon to the United States military, recognizing that a lightweight, recoil-free weapon could be highly advantageous in the dense jungles of the escalating Vietnam War. They managed to get prototype models into the hands of military testing boards and even supplied a small number of pistols to members of the ultra-secretive MACV SOG Special Operations Units for unofficial field testing. However, its most significant breakthrough wasn't on the battlefield. It was on the silver screen. The Gyrojet caught the attention of Hollywood prop masters who were desperately searching for a weapon that looked exotic enough for the ultimate super spy. In the 1967 James Bond film, You Only Live Twice, Sean Connery and the Japanese Secret Service are famously armed with Gyrojet rifles and pistols. The film's screenplay, written by Roald Dahl, featured the weapon prominently, with characters specifically calling out its rocket-propelled ammunition and armor-piercing capabilities. The cinematic exposure was priceless. Millions of theater-goers watched this hissing, futuristic hand cannon tear through enemy bases. Capitalizing on the space race frenzy and the Bond-fueled media hype, MB Associates launched a civilian model. High-end magazines featured it. It was pitched as a survival gun, a hunting weapon, and a high-tech deterrent. For a brief, shining moment in the 1960s, the public genuinely believed that traditional gunpowder weapons were about to go the way of the bow and arrow. To understand why the revolution failed, let's place the Gyrojet head-to-head against the weapon it was trying to replace, the traditional semi-automatic combat pistol, best represented by the legendary M1911 in 45 ACP. This rivalry was a clash between the physics of acceleration and the physics of immediate kinetic energy. When a standard 45 caliber bullet leaves the barrel of an M1911, it is traveling at its absolute maximum velocity, roughly 850 feet per second. All of the explosive energy is transferred to the bullet instantly inside the chamber. This means the weapon is incredibly lethal at point-blank range, which is exactly where the vast majority of defensive gunfights occur. The Gyrojet, operating on rocket principles, suffered from a fatal acceleration curve. When the rocket left the 8-inch barrel of the pistol, it was only traveling at about 100 feet per second. It was moving so slowly that if you put your hand over the muzzle and pull the trigger, the rocket would merely bruise your palm and fall to the floor. It needed time and distance for the solid fuel to burn and accelerate the mass. It didn't reach its top speed of 1,250 feet per second until it was roughly 60 feet downrange. In a close quarters ambush, the weapon was effectively useless. Furthermore, the traditional M1911 was highly accurate, forcing a bullet tightly through precision steel rifling. The Gyrojet rocket, however, was loose in its smooth bore tube. It had to build up enough thrust to start spinning before it achieved gyroscopic stability. This meant the first few yards of flight were chaotic and completely unpredictable. The M1911 was heavy, loud, and recoiled harshly, but it delivered massive accurate energy the millisecond you pulled the trigger. The Gyrojet was a slow-starting missile that was entirely unsuited for the sudden, violent reality of a gunfight. Despite its mechanical failings, the Gyrojet secured a permanent place in firearms lore because it perfectly encapsulates the unchecked optimism of the 1960s. It is the ultimate retro-futuristic artifact. It became a mythic object representing a time when scientists believed they could solve literally any human problem simply by applying aerospace engineering to it. The gun symbolizes an era of technological arrogance. The assumption that because a rocket is a more advanced technology than a cartridge, it must inherently make a better handgun. The reality of the weapon's nature is best understood through the lens of modern firearms historians. It is widely regarded not as a practical tool, but as a brilliant, misplaced experiment. As the broader historical consensus on the weapon's design often highlights, the Gyrojet was a spectacular triumph of aerospace engineering applied to entirely wrong discipline. It solved problems the infantryman didn't have while catastrophically failing at the one thing a firearm must do: deliver immediate, reliable kinetic energy. Today, the weapon is celebrated by engineers for its audacity, but it is remembered by the shooting public as a fascinating, expensive novelty, a physical prop from a future that never actually arrived. The downfall of the Gyrojet was brought about by two distinct, devastating forces, undeniable mechanical unreliability, and the heavy hand of the United States government. In field testing, the weapon's accuracy was utterly abysmal. MB Associates claimed a grouping of roughly 11 inches at 100 yards. In reality, independent testers found that the rockets could drift by up to 7 feet at that distance. The fatal flaw lay in the 4 microscopic exhaust ports on the rocket's base. If a single speck of dirt, carbon fouling, or manufacturing burp partially blocked just one of those 20-degree vents, the thrust became asymmetrical. Instead of flying straight, the rocket would instantly begin to corkscrew wildly out of control the moment it left the barrel. Additionally, the solid rocket propellant was highly sensitive to moisture. In the humid jungles of Vietnam, the fuel would degrade, resulting in agonizing hang fires where the trigger is pulled but the rocket doesn't ignite until seconds later or completely dawns. But the final nail in the coffin wasn't a mechanical failure. It was a bureaucratic decision. Following a series of high-profile political assassinations in the late 1960s, the US government passed the Gun Control Act of 1968. This sweeping legislation heavily restricted firearms, including creating a new legal category called a destructive device, which encompassed explosive ordnance and any firearm with a bore diameter greater than half an inch or 50 caliber. The Gyrojet's rocket was exactly 13 millimeters, which translates to 51 caliber. By exceeding the legal limit by a mere 100th of an inch, the Gyrojet was suddenly classified alongside bazookas and artillery pieces. Civilians were now required to pay heavy tax stamps and undergo extensive background checks just to own one, and every single rocket required its own individual registration. The civilian market, which MB Associates desperately needed to keep the company afloat, vanished overnight. Its platform did attempt to adapt before it died. MB Associates desperately tried to salvage their investments by designing the Lance Jet, an underwater variant intended for combat divers. Because rockets contain their own oxidizers, they burned perfectly well underwater. But like the pistol, it lacked the immediate stopping power required for life or death struggle against enemy frogmen. They also attempted a 12mm version to bypass the Gun Control Act, but the company's finances were already in a fatal tailspin. By the early 1970s, production ceased entirely. As a weapon of war, the platform was a total evolutionary dead end. No major military or law enforcement agency on Earth adopted rocket-propelled small arms. It proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the traditional self-contained brass cartridge, a technology pioneered in the 1800s, was still the absolute pinnacle of infantry ballistics. However, its commercial failure ironically secured its legacy as one of the most highly coveted collector's items in the world. Because production numbers were so low, surviving Gyrojet pistols command staggering prices at auctions, often fetching tens of thousands of dollars. But the true rarity is the ammunition. The 13mm rockets have not been manufactured in over half a century. Today, a single unfired Gyrojet rocket sells for over $100, sometimes approaching $200 depending on the condition. And because the internal solid propellant has been degrading for 50 years, collectors who actually decide to shoot them face a devastating reality. More than half of the rockets are complete duds, meaning pulling the trigger is literally burning $100 bills for a loud click. The history of firearms development is mostly a story of incremental cautious evolution. Gunsmiths spent decades shaving ounces of weight off a rifle or slightly adjusting the taper of a brass casing to gain a few feet per second in velocity. The Gyrojet completely rejected the slow march of progress. It was an audacious, arrogant leap into the unknown. Robert Mainhard and Art Peel looked at the 500-year-old mechanical paradigm and confidently decided they could replace it entirely with the science of the space race. They succeeded in building a machine that operated exactly as they intended. It was light, recoilless, and fired self-stabilizing rockets. But in doing so, they fundamentally misunderstood the violent, immediate, and chaotic reality of a gunfight. They built a weapon that was brilliant in a laboratory, but utterly useless in a muddy trench. Normally, an invention with such glaring flaws is quickly forgotten, but the Gyrojet's sheer audacity saved it from obscurity. It survives today not as a weapon, but as a monument to human imagination. by attempting to put the power of a ballistic missile into the palm of a hand, it secured its legacy as the most spectacular, magnificent failure in the history of firearms.